Today's guest is Richard Blank, the CEO of Costa Rica's call center, one of the largest in San Jose. He's a motivational keynote speaker on a variety of fascinating topics like phonetic micro-expression reading. He's bilingual himself and philanthropically supports the study of world languages. He also owns the largest collection of restored pinball machines and jukeboxes in Central America. And gamification is a huge part of his culture and success at Costa Rica's call center. Richard, welcome to the show.
Elizabeth, so happy to be with you and your audience. Cake on Tuesday. I could have
Woohoo,
cake
let's
every
do
day.
this.
Yeah.
Okay, so Richard, you are paving a path in a world of telemarketing, which is often not considered the sexiest or most innovative industry, but your
Mm.
approach is anything but boring. Can you tell us a little bit more about what you do and what sets your soul on fire about it?
I sold my soul for a golden fiddle. And being the proud CEO of Costa Rica's call center, I think one of the things that separates me from the technology side is I still believe in the art of speech. People have been
Mm,
talking about rhetoric for years, centuries.
mhm.
And so you can adjust tones. You can make a delivery a little bit more powerful, be more strategic and diplomatic. And so it's like a floating feather. You get more distance. And I think if people slow down, calm down, be more in the now, and learn how to do transitional sentences and tie downs and simple structure for communication that if practiced, you can become an expert in something like this. And so for me, my friend, it's like a luxury trade. In fact, I moved to Costa Rica 25 years ago, and I'm in an industry where I teach English and I get to earn a living from this. It's been a gift.
Oh, that's awesome. Former English major here, so you're speaking my language.
Yeah.
I think a lot of the world's problems can be solved by communication. I wasn't going to go here first, but now I'm curious. This phonetic micro-expression reading, can we go into this a little bit? What is this and how did this become a topic that you are an expert at?
I appreciate this. Expert is time, 10,000 hours, as they say. And so for me, I didn't walk into this being an expert. I've never written a book like yourself, which are amazing. And there are people that have been published or their words are quoted. And so for me, I'm just looking at a controlled environment, almost like a focus group. And after
Mm,
10,000 phone calls, you may see a pattern. And so I believe, in fact, I cherish the genius communicator Helen Keller that was
mm,
able to create a language and was able to connect with people through multiple mediums. And so just imagine we have lost our taste, touch, and smell on the phone. The scientists say that things should be expanded.
right.
Besides the hearing, you should be using your image streaming and your imagination and your descriptive language. But let's all put that aside. I saw patterns in phonetics, just the sound, and taking away certain cultures and traditions. If you just run it across the board with 30-second checkpoints, things, spikes and dips. Phonetics is it's broken down into 4 sections: tone, rate, pitch, and duration. In my professional opinion, which you have in abundance, in your tone of voice, it's confident and empathetic. When you extend
Mm.
compassion, it's sincere, and no one can really hang up on someone that's sincere. And so I believe that should be the consistent variable. The thing that we match, and this is the micro expression rating, it's like the XY chart in pre-algebra. You have the rate of speech and you have the
Mhm.
speaking level. Okay, fine. It's a first time read, or if your best friend when they're off a bit. And so for me, your introduction, body, and conclusion could be in 30 seconds, could be in 2 hours. But this is what I gauge: positive or negative reinforcements from that. And in essence, I'm mirror imaging, not your tone, but I'm mirror imaging how fast and how loud so I don't step on your toes and there's no crosstalk. Why am I doing this? Regardless of the rhetoric or whatever you're putting out there, if you see something that moves, don't misinterpret it, but that's the time for the checkpoint for tie down and clarification questions. If you're going too
Mm.
fast, you might be excited for something. I'm like, sounds good, right? You're like, yeah, I want to definitely go get pizza on Thursday. But then if I say, hey, Elizabeth, how about Friday? We go grab some cake. You're like, is Friday okay? I only eat cake on Tuesdays. So I go, okay, here we go. And so I'm just learning. And so it's a readjustment, not just of tone, but of pace. And so I've seen that instead of having a shaky 10 minutes, you can have a solid 3 minutes. because you're repeating
Yeah.
information. It lessens the ego defense and the frustration, because most people complain about that on the call. And if you can float with the people, then it's a beautiful rhythm, it's a beautiful pace, and it's a nice
Mm,
vibration that's not an overextension, especially sight unseen, where people, as you say, you can feel it and see it. So this
yeah.
micro expression reading, you can do your job, but that's just a value added benefit that after 3 weeks becomes habit. And so you'll start
Mm.
knowing, compared to when they say, I know micro expression reading, the crossing the arms, the clicking pens, self and object adapters, like poker players. But what happens if we don't have that on the phone? It's the purest form of speech. It's the phonetic. But here's the greatest part. The tone, rate, and pitch can be manipulated. But the one thing that cannot, because it's your subconscious, is the answering speed. They can't do that
Huh.
10 out of 10 times. And so just like the silence to the sound and the black keys to the white keys in the piano, you can yell at me or you can be quiet. You can interrupt me or not speak loud, whatever. You can do that all day long. But that answering
Mhm.
speed, that's why the cops usually bring out the evidence by the third question. And that's when people change. And so I'm not saying that I'm calling people out for lying, but it's an excellent way for you to ask for additional clarification during those calls. How is that?
That's fantastic. That's really interesting. So you are in this, your good peopling approach is all about authentic communication, which is something I think the world needs more of and can be applied to so many different industries. So let's talk a little bit about your business though, because you've been doing this for some time here. You've obviously have been very successful at it. I
Yeah.
love this gamification side of it. Can you tell us a
Hmm.
little bit about your interesting collecting habits? And then also, how do you apply that to gamification at work? Because a lot of Cake on Tuesday came from focusing on mini celebrations at work. And I'd love to hear how you do that.
Of course. The first rule that I know is you never ask a lady their age. And so I'm going to refer to myself. I'm a Generation X. And I grew up in the 70s and 80s. And one of the coolest places in the world was the arcade, especially Flynn's in the movie Tron. But when you're a little kid, $5 has to last you a full day. And those pinball machines were 50 cents and expensive and fast. And they were beautiful. So what happens? Fast forward, and here I am in Costa Rica. I got the space, I got the cash. And a lot of these places were going out of business. So I'd say, yo, Elizabeth, let's get Tommy, Joey, and Billy, and let's grab some money, get the truck and drive to Perez Zeledón, about 3 hours away. We'll meet with Don Jose, open up the bodega, and he's got these beautiful machines that are sitting there that are just dusty. These
Mm,
machines are 40 years old. What happens? There's corrosion because of the Central America humidity. It's not finished. All you do is replace certain parts behind the marquee, order it from Marco Specialties for $500. All of a sudden, your machine's working again. And so I knew the value and I started collecting, and one turned into 3 to 5, and now it's 11 machines. But I tell you what, the air hockey table, the Pac-Man, the pinball, it's a beautiful, happy medium for people to let off steam, recharge batteries. It's running in place at the light compared to icing a kicker at a football game. It's momentum. You're not stopping. And so instead of in
yeah.
the lunchroom, you're on your phone looking at Japanese anime or having that fifth cigarette. Come hang out in the game room with me and Elizabeth. Let's go play some air hockey. And I tell you what, my friend, when you see somebody laughing, you see a different side of them, not laughing at somebody, but if someone is yucking it up, they let down that barrier, become more vulnerable. A, they might have a funny laugh, but secondly, you're seeing them shine. And what happens is distance gets reduced to the point of where I start getting taps on the shoulder in the morning. Hey, Hefe, how you doing? I've done that. I've
Mm.
done it naturally. And just like cake, which is a dessert and it should be served with people and hopefully first and during special occasions or just because you love yourself, there's nothing wrong with playing. And did I get pushback on that from some people? They said, you're wasting your space. You should put more lockers there. Yeah, you put more lockers in your own business. I don't want to do that. I wanted to be Willy Wonka fun. I wanted you to have
Yeah.
to walk through this electromagnetic energy before you go upstairs or when you come downstairs to do what you got to do so you can see that you're not missing out, but you're part of the gang. And it's old school circles. And it's what a fun
Yeah.
thing to do. Instead of just having your handhelds, you're really seeing the machines and the motions. And that was one hill I was willing to die on. But my wife thankfully allows me to have that. And I got a huge bodega at home with all of my games. And my last thing I want to share, and it's so special to me, my favorite decade's from the 1970s. And I'll tell you why, because these were electromechanical. These were contacts compared to computers. And this was the years when they used to paint the playfield compared to laminates and stickers. The playfield was
Hmm.
more open, easier targets, beautiful marquees, and the whole machine was just a work of art. And I love the sounds of the bells. And so those machines from the 70s, I'll buy them all day long because they give me such joy. And one of the things about center and balance is when you know what you love. So instead of
Yeah.
doing something like, if you hate golf, why are you playing every Saturday? And so for me, I know I loved my machines. And that's a great way for me to decompress and find Richard Center on rainy Sundays.
Yeah. Oh, that's really cool. I love that. Joy breeds joy too.
Mm,
So you're creating a culture there that I like to talk a lot about the fact that culture is crafted. It's not something that happens by accident. You have
mm,
to be intentional in setting the culture. And so I
that's
love
right.
that you're creating an environment for people to play, to have fun. And I'm sure you see the output of that of people are more connected, you're building relationship. And I also like to say culture breeds innovation, because if you have the right culture for it, it becomes a great breeding ground for new ideas because you've already unlocked kind of everything that comes with play and enjoyment. Have you seen that change in your organization as you really encourage play over the years?
1,000%. And guess what I did? I didn't wait. I was proactive. There's natural selection. Besides asking people their coming of age moments, they at least write me 2 paragraphs of great English and I get to hear a story of depth and a hero's journey. I want to make sure that they're leaning past me and looking at the arcade going, man, that looks great. That's a person I want to have work with me compared to, I hate video games. All right. All right, negative Nancy. Listen, I can be highly selective, which is great. I'm only 150 people, so I don't need to
Hmm.
carpet bomb or cattle call. So say what you want, but I can, if I have 10 people to choose from and 5 out of the 10 love playing the games, I'm going to choose those people first. And I'm also going to choose people that have no experience in this industry. Could be their first job. Why? Because I can mold them like a squire to a knight. They don't have bad habits. They're not a
Mm,
cancer or a jumper. And you and I remember the first job we were ever given when they put their faith in us, and
yeah.
you'll never forget it. And so I always believe a mercenary just does it for money. But if I can organically homegrown my crew through initial nurture, I have a better chance of a long-term player. And so those are
Mm.
the sort of decisions that I make, because you're asking me, do people play? They have to play. They can't be part of the company. Come on, man. Stop being sour. And yes, that's are one of the many different things that I look for in these incredible people joining my organization.
That's really cool. All right, stories. Do you have any good stories of really seeing somebody open up through play, or a time where I'm sure you've gotten pushback about it? What is a good example? You can show us some specifics.
It depends. You want it rated R? No, I'm only kidding. Let's keep it clean. How about we have personal breakthroughs with people, first times? The first time is I got to let them know that fear is that morbid anticipation. So I initially established myself by saying, hey, have you ever met a CEO of a call center? Maybe 2 out of 10 raised their hand. I'm like, okay, maybe you see that I'm giving you a clean slate like myself. Let's start strong. Don't blame me on what happened on your last job. So they start looking at me. And then secondly, we talk about, since English is my first language, let me give them a gift. Let's remove words like help and put in assist, guide, and lend a hand. Instead of saying, excuse me, I'm sorry, why don't we change it with for my clarification? I'll teach them the military alphabet that day. I will share with them how to do positive escalations. So you can jump clouds. When someone gives you a pass to pitch, you mention them verbally in writing. So when you call them back, you get a hero's welcome. Little beautiful soft skills that
Hmm.
people can use, Elizabeth, outside the office. And so just in the first day, they're at least going to stand up, which is now public speaking. I'm going to make them hold their script in their left hand, use their right hand. So they're practicing illustrators and pacing themselves because they see the congruence of their body and their speech in sync, because sometimes they speak too fast.
Yeah.
And these are
Yeah.
the sort of not first downs, we're making some serious yardage. We're
Yeah.
lasting like a boxer. And so they see that I'm making them self reliant and self confident just in the first day, where even if they're with me 10 years or they're with me 2 hours, they're going to walk away better, because what you and I do through your books and your speaking engagements and just being on your podcast and incredible, you're paying it forward. The money's going to come, the fame's going, we know this stuff, but what drives us to do this is because we're older now and we're wiser now. And if we can share with open hands information without anything in return and no strings
Right.
attached, once again, I will pass through the pondering, go home at night, put their head on the pillow saying, I think Richard shattered some misconceptions and I might want to come back tomorrow, just like wax on, wax off. And Mr. Miyagi did it the right way. The kids got to respect themselves first before we can respect them. And so I just want to see if they have core values. And so I make it easy for them, but then again, I make them ask themselves certain questions. Are you prepared for this in life? Because I'm going to make you feel guilty. I'll call you
Yeah.
out on it. I'm going to come on, Elizabeth. I know you're better than this. You're out of character. Why don't you say good morning to me? What's wrong, Miss Sour, today? You know, I try to get the best out of people, but I don't break them. I just want to
Yeah.
see if they're capable of making progress on a daily basis. And the first one, once again, is establishing a foundation of just strength to know they can stand up and speak in front of people, strangers who now became friends. And so I hope that is explained in a sense how I'm able to make these connections with people. But we do have the quality control department, of course, the mediums of recording, like you talk about technology. And I use
Mhm.
that to our advantage to grade them on their calls and just to make sure I can shave the
Mm.
thing, give them more balance. And so we use that as well. But yeah, that's what I do.
Very cool. I like the disruptive approach to maybe an established industry. I'm sure you've had people give you great advice along the way and people give you terrible advice along the way. And I think that's something early on in our career, it's hard to know the difference between the two. Sometimes I find it helpful to just share with other people, this is the specific advice that I got that I realized later was really good, or vice versa. I got this input and realized I should just throw that out because of where that this isn't going to help me on my journey. Do you have either good, great, or terrible, or both, advice that you've gotten along the journey that you think would be really helpful to someone else?
Unfortunately for me, when I first started, there was no leadership blueprint for this. None of my friends were studying languages. No one moved abroad and started a call center. So they couldn't pass it along like a senior to a freshman. I had to learn it the hard way. I worked at my friend's center for a couple of years to learn the ins and outs, but never C-level. I also was exceptionally realistic. I'm a guest in this country and I know what I know. And your book is incredible, but you didn't physically make the book. You had to have a person make it for you and a
There was a
publisher.
village.
Yeah, there's a village. And so you and I, we're the trunk of the tree, but we need to find the roots and the branches. And so I was very smart by getting home court advantage people, you know, the CTOs and the attorneys and the accountants, and even my local guy, my face man, that would go around town and get me good things for good prices. Because if you and I go out, we get the gringo price. You know, it's 50% more, and that's if they like you. So it's terrible, but it's also very true on how business
Hmm.
is done. And so I was able to build that. Now, the bad advice which was given to me, it's because I got disappointed. I'm not going to say I'm angry in people because I don't know their intentions. But I will say this to you and your amazing audience. As you grow and you bring people in, there will be whispers in shadows. So you should always be aware of that. And so in my industry where there's a lot of attrition, or just people burn out, or they just see opportunities. Just as much as you rely, you should first rely on yourself. But secondly, there are certain departments like the IT department. I am not an expert in IT, so I have to have faith in somebody that they won't throw coffee on the servers or shut me down. And so you have to, when you go through these stages, just make sure if you're going to promote people, the best thing is promoting them from within because they showed themselves in different areas and they were consistent, which is very nice. And they felt comfortable in a period of time to be open with you and make suggestions or just to celebrate with you and raise a glass and break some bread. But I've had some individuals at my company, and do I blame them? Who the hell knows? I don't know what goes on outside the office and what happens with their family, but they had to make a conscious decision that they were personally hurting me. And so I've seen this. Sometimes your heart gets broken in business. But for the most part, I've been fortunate that I've had less water in the ship than I had to bail out. I've been able to reduce the fat and keep going with the strongest. But I tell you what, maybe it's maturity or impulse control, or they just weren't ready for a true mentor or somebody to really believe in them, or to go outside and introduce themselves to their mother and say, listen, Elizabeth is great. Maybe that embarrassed them. I don't know. But the best thing that I could do and share with you is just to be who I am, because you were talking about having certain skills and only being able to do it for, let's say, 5 minutes, or just memorizing a script and trying to make phone calls. You're going to get caught. The greatest thing to do is to zig and zag, loosey goosey, and remember that there's 10% wild card in this world. A lot of people write you to get on your podcast, but there must have been one or two, or hopefully three anchors that I shared with you about myself that separated me from others, that got your interest and enabled me to be here today. And so if you think you're going to be somebody else, fine, wear your suit, drive your fancy car, and be in your penthouse place. But just like in Rocky, he had a better training in Rocky 3 when he was in that old gym with Apollo. And I felt that if people see raw, and when you shed
Mm-hmm.
skin and they see the true person, most people can relate to that. And
Mm-hmm.
if you can do that, then you have the strongest bridge into connection with people. And so that's what I tried to do with people. And maybe they took advantage of real Richard, because I love and I believe, and yo tengo fe en la persona. I really have faith in people. And I'm okay with that. I can live with myself with good intentions and good faith. That's what allows me to continue moving forward.
Awesome. Being
Yeah.
authentic, being real, that is always in style. So I love that. Richard, where can people find you? I know you speak a lot. Where can people find you if they want to learn more about your business or what you're doing or what you're speaking on?
Well, listen, when it gets really cold in the wintertime, you guys should buy a ticket and fly to Costa Rica so you can come and visit me.
Open
I always
invitation.
mention,
Well, you guys heard that. Open invitation.
if you love Gilligan's Island, you might as well come down and see what it looks like. We're in Central America paradise. We're north of Panama and south of Nicaragua. And real quick for your audience, it's interesting. We're the only democratic society in Central America. There's no standing army, so they put all their money into education. They have a 95% literacy rate. Companies such as Amazon, HP, and Intel, Oracle are here. We're known for eco-medical tourism and some of the best surfing in the world. And also there's blue zones here. So there's
I've heard
happiness in
that.
certain areas.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's cool. And but no, Costa Rica's callcenter.com. And my final thought, and I can't thank you enough. I love being a guest today. You always bring the best out of people. Don't be hard on yourself. At the end of the day, look at yourself in the mirror and give yourself 5. A lot of military people say make your bed. And this is the long game. Okay. And so you should shed some weight. And if you can find ways to occupy your mind with beautiful thoughts and things that are physiologically good, or you hit the gym, or you have a good diet, or music, or sense, or touch, stimulate your senses if you need to get away from the present. So it can help you decompress and maybe separate things. And if you have the luxury of time, sleep on it, write a draft and don't send it, because there's a very good chance the following day you overextended yourself. And a relationship with Elizabeth or your best friends, it's worth more than just a knee-jerk reaction, saving face. Sometimes you'll become a bigger person and do the right thing. And that's how leaderships grow too.
Oh, that's a good parting word right there. Thank you so much, Richard, for being here. This was super fun.
I had the best time. Thank you so much.